Welcome back to episode 5 of the Canadian Electrical Code Masterclass. Today we're going to dive into parallel path. One of the biggest electrical mistakes that fails inspection constantly. Under the OESC 2024, we will follow the code rules. What is a parallel path? Let me explain. At the main service disconnect, neutral and ground are bounded together. This is the only place they are allowed to connect. You run hots, neutrals, equipment bounding conductors. So now the sub-panel has a neutral conductor, a bounding conductor. So what happens in that situation? To remove the bounding screw in the sub-panel, neutral now flows becomes bounded to the panel, conductor enclosure normal path. Through the equipment now neutral and ground are connected twice. Through the metal conduit, once at the main panel, through water pipes, through structural steel. Parallel neutral path. Why this is dangerous? Metal raceways can carry load current. Water pipes become energized. Conduits heats up. Sensitive electronics malfunction. Short hazards increases. Inspectors fail the installation. Rule 10-208, neutral isolation at distribution panels. Rule 10-806, bounding requirements. Rule 10-204, purpose of bounding. Neutral and ground should only shake hands one time. At the main service, if they shake hands again in the sub-panel, current splits and metal parts carrying load current. So neutral bounded at service and sub-panel, bounding screw not removed, neutral touching enclosure, improper bounding jumper. You can refer to code reference OESC rule 10-206 and 10-204. Why is it dangerous? Metal parts become energized, heat buildup, short risk, nuisance, ASCI, GSCI trips, inspection failure. So it all becomes very important when you're running your parallel path. Take the time to make sure you have the proper conductors. Take the time to make sure you do the job once. Take the time to make sure that your metal parts are not energized once you do become inspection ready. Always double check before you call for an inspection on your service. If not, you can run into issues. So removing your bounding screw in the sub-panel is very important. Also, isolating your neutral bar is another key important fix. Ground bars bounded to enclosures is one of the most key important notes that you have to remember. And proper feeder with bounding conductors. Do these and you will pass your inspection. So real life story explained. One of my customers recently had a tingling on the sink. The neutral was bounded in sub-panel. Removing bounding screws solved the issue. So when it comes to parallel path, cables, 400 amp service installation, you always want to make sure that your cables are the same length. You also want to make sure that when you're running your parallel runs, that you do make sure, if you do use certain cables like I am here, to identify your neutral conductors. Very important. First things first is to identify your neutral conductors. As you can see, these cables are a different set of cables. They're tech cable, we call it. And the only way to identify your tech cable is by the strips that they have. As you can see, they have red, blue, and just a plain black, and no white. So identifying your neutrals on a parallel path is very important. Also, making sure to use the proper connectors and bushings is also very important when it comes to the installation. Always make sure to take the same path you ran the first cable. Same exact length, same exact direction. You don't want to have any issues when it comes to running your parallel feeders. 250 kc mil doubles is what you're using for a 400 amp cable, 400 amp service. Parallel paths can be very tricky. Most people get it mixed up. It's actually what's required in the OESC 2024 codebook. So following your codebook is vital to the installation also. Also, notice the difference when you're running 100 amps versus 400 amps versus 200 amps. 100 amps, 200 amps, and so on does not require a parallel path. But when it comes to 400 amps, you're required to run parallel path. 2 sets of cables is what you will need. Same length, same direction, same pattern. Try to avoid obstacles that will make you go around. You want to take the same path when it comes to your parallel feeders. Remember, your disconnect becomes your bounding point. You bound at your disconnect and you leave it there. You do not bound at the panel, as your panel becomes your sub-panel. You will remove all bonding screws at your sub-panels. If you found this valuable, drop parallel in the comments. EP6 is coming next. Breaker sizing and load calculations. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And also don't forget the next video that you see on the screen. Click the link and head over to the Masterclass series.